So here we are once again. Sorry about that. There goes my phone doing what it always does. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. We do this every Friday night Eastern Time in the U.S. at 8 p.m. And I'm Mobile Geezer, if you haven't been here before. And we talk about the tech stories from the last week. The only one in here so far that I can see is Eleanor, and she's already wished everybody a good weekend. Renz won't be here tonight, I don't think, because he's going to have his checkup for his health. So wish him well on that. And let me show you where you can see the stories. Let's get rid of what's in the way first. If you go to my website, which is mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, share that screen. So mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on the first story with today's date. You'll get all the show notes for tonight's show. And tonight we will be talking about the upcoming Apple event, which we're a few weeks away from at this point. That's not set in stone yet, but it seems like everybody thinks it's going to be September 7th. Then we're going to move on to how inflation also affects tech products. And cable suddenly playing second fiddle to streaming, because streaming has now passed cable for most viewership. So we'll be talking about that. And some of us have been getting Android 12 on our Pixel 6, especially Pixel 6 instead of Android 13. Now, I have already received Android 13 on my Pixel 5a, but so far, my Pixel 6 Pro has not gotten it, and Google came up with an explanation for that, so we'll go through that. And crypto seems to be in some rather serious trouble. They have layoffs increasing crypto.com, but also other sites. And it seems like they're all laying off people and trying to keep it quiet. So we'll go over that. And then we'll talk about the Pixel 7 models coming up, I guess, in 2 months. So that's the stuff we're going to go over tonight. And let's go back and put my branding back up. Okay. And nothing new in the comments as yet. Now, Mike did notify me he probably will not be able to get on tonight. So if Will and or Ted comes in, that'll be great. I'll certainly keep an eye out for them and let you guys know if I see them come into the stream. They all have the link. So let's go ahead and share screen again, and we'll start the stories. Now, of course, if none of them come in, it's probably going to be a short show. So let's start with the Apple event. It looks to be September 7th. I took Digital Trends. Of course, everybody has a story about it. So I went on with Digital Trends. And iPhone 14 and Apple Watch Series 8 could arrive on September 7th. And that's by Nadeem Sarawar, I guess. So let's put this into reader view, see if we can get rid of some of these ads. So Apple is reportedly planning an event on September 7th to launch new phones and smartwatches, reports Bloomberg. Earlier this month, notable tech product leaker Max Weinbach also tweeted about an Apple event happening close to the September 6th window. The star of the event will be the iPhone 14, of course. To recall, Apple introduced the iPhone 13 series on September 15th last year, which falls roughly in the same debut window as the tentative date for the iPhone 14's arrival. The report also mentions that retail employees have been notified about a September 16th release date, so that's a week and 2 days later, release slot for new products. However, Apple has yet to make an official announcement regarding the date for the first of its many planned events in the 2022 fall season. The report also warns that the September 7th event date is not written in stone and might change down the road. So, better cameras, higher asking price. Details about the iPhone 14 Quartet have been leaked several times over the past few months. I'm sure we've all seen those leaks. But unlike the iPhone 12 and 13 series, there won't be a mini model to choose from this year. Instead, Apple is reportedly adding a larger Max model outside the Pro line with a 6.7-inch screen. In terms of design, the vanilla iPhone 14 and its Max variant will borrow their looks from the iPhone 13 series. However, the iPhone 14 Pro models are heavily rumored to ditch the notch in favor of a divisive pill plus hole cutout at the top for housing the Face ID sensors and the selfie camera. So that's what they're talking about here. The camera department is where things get really interesting. Apple is said to be eyeing a 48 megapixel primary camera for the iPhone 14 Pro and its Max sampling, assisted by a pair of 12 megapixel cameras for wide angle and telephoto zoom duty. So if you're going to get the Pro models, you're going to get the latest there is and the best from Apple. New video capture tricks are touted to be in the pipeline alongside enhancements to the battery life. However, it appears that the upgrades will come at a cost. TFI securities analyst Ming-Cho Kuo and Wedbush analyst Dan Ives are expecting roughly $100 price jump for the Pro models, and we all knew that. Let me see if I can give you. Okay. Another controversial change is happening in the silicon department. Apple is reportedly reserving the next-gen A16 Bionic processor for the Pro models only. The non-Pro will continue to use the A15 silicon that we last saw on the iPhone 13 series. The strategy is not entirely unheard of, as the Apple Watch Series 7 also packs virtually the same processor as the Apple Watch Series 6. New watches, new skills. Talking about the Apple Watch, the company is reportedly planning 3 new models. The base Series 8 model will come in 2 sizes, and it will be accompanied by the next-gen Apple Watch SE and a rugged model, that's a first, with a larger display targeted at extreme sports enthusiasts. The new smartwatches are expected to get a new temperature sensor akin to the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5. However, the sensor won't show temperature readings in the form of numerical values. Instead, it will only keep an eye on gross fluctuations and will alert users if they develop a fever. And I've already read that the Apple Watch 5 doesn't really keep an accurate, give you an accurate temperature. So I don't know what it's about. Bloomberg has previously reported about new women's health features, more fitness analysis options, and medication management tied to the latest Watch OS release. Sleep apnea detection is said to be on the upgrade table as well, alongside a new car crash detection system. Okay, and that's it. So that's what we're expecting for the September 7th event. That'll be on a Wednesday. So, oh, look at this. Renz got in here even from the hospital waiting for his. Renz, you are one faithful guy. I appreciate it very, very much. Okay. So we had Eleanor and Renz in here. I haven't seen anybody else yet. If you're there, just say something in the comments so I'll know that you're there. Okay, going to move on to the next story, and I'm watching for any of the guys to come in, of course. So let's go to our next story. And I just said inflation affects tech products also. Just takes a little longer to show up. And I got this from The Verge. Oh, hold up. Got Gary in here. Hey, Gary. Well, you guys are faithful. Renz is at the hospital waiting to get a checkup, and he's already signed in. So you guys are really faithful. Okay, so now we're going to talk about inflation hitting the tech products, and we're going to The Verge for that. So, yes, inflation has come for tech products too. It's just a little harder to spot. And that's by Dan Seifert. And that was written yesterday. And let's take it into reader view and get rid of some of these heads. Okay, for many, this summer has been the season of inflation. After fuel prices spiked earlier this year and have only slowly started to come down, it seems like everything we had to pay for suddenly became more expensive. Outside of the gas station, this is most likely felt at the grocery store, where staples like bread, pasta, vegetables, and other consumables all cost more now than they did a year or even just a few months ago. Inflation has also impacted the price of tech products like smartphones and laptops, but it can be harder to spot. Unlike food or other consumables, technology products have a long production cycle, often taking 18 months or more to go from an idea to a store shelf. Many companies set a product's target price at the start of its development cycle, which makes them more insulated from short-term swings in inflation. So you set the price, and when you start the cycle, inflation could be there, and all of a sudden you need to change your price. Tech devices also rarely go up in price after they've been released. In fact, we're accustomed to them becoming less expensive over time, which is true. But this year, we've seen numerous examples where devices have either gotten explicitly more expensive or just haven't fallen in price over time the way we've been conditioned to expect them to. Part of this is due to the ongoing supply chain crunch, which makes it harder for companies to source components, especially for devices that don't use high-end smartphone or laptop processors. But big companies are also not immune to rising fuel costs and the other inflationary effects, and that's also driving prices up for your next gadget. Oh, by the way, after I came home from work today, I was listening to just some stories while I was getting ready, and there was a story about some of the chip making companies having an oversupply as opposed to an undersupply because everybody was pushing them to keep making more, and now I gather they have more than they can ship. So they're saying that's expected to keep going back and forth for a while. So just thought I'd mention that. Apple's latest MacBook Air, which was announced at the beginning of June and started shipping in July, comes with a starting price of $200 more than the model it's succeeding. It's hard to say that's entirely due to inflation because the new Air comes with a host of new features to help justify its cost: a new chassis design, better display, faster processor, and so on. But Apple is still selling the prior generation MacBook Air alongside the new one, and it's still listed for the same price as when it came out way back in 2020. In other words, hasn't come down. Typically, Apple lowers the price of older models when a new one comes out, which provides a way for smart and patient shoppers to save money on still very capable technology. But with the new model coming in at a higher price, Apple didn't have to lower the old one to make it look like a deal. Yeah, you're still paying the same $999 for an entry-level MacBook Air with the M1 processor today as you would have had you bought it in November 2020. Yeah, normally that would have come down already. Samsung recently announced a whole suite of new wearables and folding phones, and the impacts of inflation are more explicit there. The Galaxy Z Fold 4 and Z Flip 4 are the same prices as their forebearers, but the new Galaxy Watch 5 is $30 more expensive than the Galaxy Watch 4, despite only coming with a slightly larger battery and one dubiously useful extra health sensor. For all intents and purposes, it's the same watch as the Galaxy Watch 4, which I'm keeping my classic, but it costs more than the Watch 4 did at launch last year. Similarly, the new Galaxy Buds 2 Pro are $229, $30 more than the Galaxy Buds Pro were when they came out in January 2021. Yeah, and I'm waiting for my Buds 2 Pro to be shipped. Other companies have made the rare move of just raising prices on existing products. Late last year, ahead of the inflation spike of 2022, Sonos raised prices across its line of wireless speakers, citing increasing supply chain costs. Meta recently increased the price of the Quest 2, a virtual reality headset, by a whopping $100, a 33% jump, as it attempts to staunch its own bleeding of revenue across its business. The Quest 2 was likely a money loser for Meta at launch, but thanks to other business and economic pressures, it's clear that Meta doesn't want to continue floating it, and so consumers will have to pay more going forward. Makes sense. Anecdotally, it's also been harder to find really great deals on last year's technology. A year ago, I was able to get a year-old iPad Pro for hundreds of dollars off its launch price at Best Buy. When I was looking for a similar deal this summer, the big box stores came up empty, and I had to scrounge around eBay until I could find something for a price I was willing to pay. Our deals team has also seen fewer big discounts on new in-box products across the board this summer, with most good sales happening on refurbished or second-hand devices. Pro tip, buy refurbished if you can. It can save you a lot of money, and it helps keep things from ending up in a landfill or being inefficiently recycled. Well, that is true. Another factor keeping prices up is just the lack of availability of many in-demand products thanks to the ongoing supply chain woes. As we head into the big product launch season, we can expect to see more effects of inflation in the prices of new phones, laptops, and other devices that get announced. Industry analysts are warning that the iPhone 14 will be more expensive than the iPhone 13 was. If that pans out, Apple could keep the iPhone 13 in the lineup without lowering its price like it has with older models in years past. It will still look like a savings compared to the new one while still costing the same as it did a year ago. Apple is expected to use the same processor in the iPhone 14 as in the iPhone 13, similar to how Samsung's new watches use the same chips as last year, but cost more. Now, of course, that's not talking the Pro models, just the regular. Amazon is reportedly raising the price of its seller fees this fall as a way to deal with inflation. Yeah, I'm waiting for my Prime to go up again. You can certainly expect that cost will be passed on to you, the consumer, which means your next USB-C cable or phone case will likely cost more. We've been used to the cost of tech coming down over time, and if you look at a long-term scale of decades, that's certainly the case. That's still certainly the case. But we can't expect technology to be immune to the rest of the economy forever. And if your next loaf of bread costs more than it did before, your next smartphone likely will too, which makes perfect sense. So, inflation is everywhere. I'm not much for complaining about it, but I certainly hear a lot of people that I work with complain about it. All right, stop screen. Let's get out of here. Okay, nothing new in the comments. And anybody that's new here, and just any comment you have, just stick it in the comments and we'll discuss it a little bit. Okay. Renz, I already said my prayer for your health, so I'll keep it up. And don't imagine that that's because Renz is having, I think he's just having a regular checkup, so no problem there as far as I know. It's amazing how much we all love Renz, isn't it? Okay. Going on to the next story. So cable has passed, streaming has passed cable. So I said cable suddenly playing second fiddle to streaming. So I took the story from TechCrunch, but again, a lot of people had the story. I guess this happened in July. Streaming viewership surpassed cable TV for the first time since Nielsen. I used to work on Nielsen ratings back in the 80s, programming-wise. And that's by Lauren Forrestal. So and this was published yesterday also. Let's go into review. Streaming viewership reached new heights last month, exceeding cable usage for the first time, according to Nielsen. The measurement firm today released its total TV and streaming report for July, saying that streaming represented a 34.8% share of total TV viewing in the U.S., an increase of 22.6%. That's big compared to July 2021. Cable consumption was a little behind the 34.4%, an 8.9% drop from the year prior, and a 2% decline compared to June. So just from June to July, they dropped. And Gary says streaming is cool except for Netflix. Now, I said this a couple of years ago and shocked everybody. So in case you hadn't heard it, I have never watched 1 minute of Netflix ever. Probably never will. And I know that's shocking to you all, but that's the way it is. I tend to like Prime shows a lot. That's just me. With my time, though, I watch a lot of stuff, probably like you guys, on YouTube. And what I've noticed is I almost never watch anything on TV except sports. And that's usually during racing season, because those F1 and IndyCar are my favorite sports. And I watch a lot of football. But so Netflix is not something I have any interest in, but I have loved some of Prime's shows of their own, and I just think some of them are awesome. So I've never seen Netflix. Streaming has exceeded broadcast viewing before. Yeah, I saw a story from about 2 years ago, too. And this continued to be the case, with broadcast down 3.7% on volume compared with June. So everything's going down except streaming. Broadcast share of TV viewing was at 21.6%, so way below the other two. The new milestone reinforces streaming as a top choice for TV viewers, mainly driven by original content that can't be found on cable or broadcast TV. Yeah, and that's what I find about Prime. Their original content I just think is awesome. Or much of it anyway. July also broke a record with the highest volume streaming weeks, the data measurement firm noted. The average time spent streaming last month was 190.9 billion minutes per week. That's a lot of minutes. The week of Christmas in December 2021 was the last all-time high that Nielsen measured, with 183 billion minutes. So they topped that in July. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool for the streaming services. Note that Nielsen's report only compares programming viewed on TVs and internet-connected TVs. It doesn't measure streaming via mobile or desktop. So they'd be killing if they included that, which would likely make streaming's market share even larger. Yeah. In fact, streaming on big screens, connected TVs, smart TVs, and gaming consoles represented 77% of globally streamed minutes in Q1 2022, according to a report by streaming data analyst Conviva. Content, especially exclusive and unique content, is key to the success of streaming services. I guess that's true, because that's pretty much all I watch on Prime. The boost in TV viewership was primarily driven by streaming releases across Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. So there's the numbers if any of you want to go on the website and look at the stories. And you can see streaming beat cable just barely. Broadcast was quite a bit behind, and other was way behind. When Nielsen looked at the breakdown of streaming services, Netflix held the largest share of overall TV viewing among streaming platforms with 8%, so they're still on top. In June, Netflix was at 7.7%, so while Netflix reported a huge loss in subscribers, the service remains popular among TV viewers in the U.S. So in the U.S., they're still number one, even though they've lost a lot of subscribers. Nielsen pointed to Netflix's Stranger Things season 4. Yeah, a lot of people love that. As the main driver, which had almost 18 billion viewing minutes in July. Netflix boasted that Stranger Things 4 had the largest opening weekend for an English language series and was the most watched season of English language TV in 1 week on the platform. Good for them. Also, Virgin River and The Umbrella Academy contributed nearly 11 billion minutes of combined viewing. The action thriller The Gray Man, which now gets its own universe, and the animated adventure film The Sea Beast chipped in more than 5 billion minutes. Netflix's founder and CEO Reed Hastings agrees with analysts that say linear TV is nearing its end. I would agree. Pardon me. In the second quarter earnings call, he remarked, looking forward, streaming is working everywhere. Everyone is pouring in. It's the end of linear TV over the next 5-10 years. I agree 100%. In second place, YouTube and YouTube TV had a total share of 7.3%. Well, that's what I watch, YouTube TV. A nice jump from last month at 6.9%. Actually, I tend to watch older movies, very old movies. I tend to watch those on YouTube, so I guess I watch both a lot too. YouTube's live streaming service, YouTube TV, recently reached a milestone of its own, surpassing 5 million paid subs and users with trials for the service. Yeah, I jumped on YouTube TV as soon as it came out. While the streaming service isn't big on original content, it is cheaper and arguably better alternative to cable with access to major broadcast networks, national sports. That's what made me get it. They have a lot of sports, and I love my sports. National sports channels and major cable news channels, all at $65 per month. Hulu's total share of 3.6% can be attributed to the second season of Only Murders in the Building and the new hit series The Bear, which had a combined 3 billion minutes viewed. With 46.2 million subscribers, Disney Plus's sister streaming service broke a record of 58 Emmy nominations this year. That's a lot of nominations, while Disney Plus only had 34. Only Murders in the Building had 17 nominations. Craig Erwick, president of Hulu Originals and ABC Entertainment, has called the show Hulu's true crown jewel of its slate because of its appeal across generations and the intersection of humor and heart. The show has been renewed for a third season. Amazon's Prime Video sits in fourth place with a total share of 3%, driven by the new series The Terminalist. I probably need to watch that because I like Chris Pratt a lot. Starring Chris Pratt and new episodes of The Boys, which accumulated more than 8 billion viewing minutes. 2 days ago, Amazon and Nielsen struck a deal to measure the ratings of Prime Video's Thursday Night Football. I'll be there for that. According to the report, Disney Plus and HBO Max had the smallest share of TV viewing at 1.8% and 1% respectively. HBO Max has been under fire lately due to the removal of 40-plus titles and layoffs that affected 70 employees. Last week, Disney Plus announced it's raising the price of its premium subscription to $10.99 per month, up from $7.99. I saw that story. U.S. subscribers will see the change in early December. Hulu, ESPN Plus, and the Disney bundle, Hulu with ads, also saw price hikes. So I guess that's inflation again. Let's see. Stop screen for a minute. Look at this. Big House is here. Yo, Big House, glad to have you here, brother. He says, good evening to everyone. Brian, appreciate it as always. You're always so faithful. Okay. And Brian's asking what battery pack he recommended for Mike. That's right, because Mike made a video of his Friday car vlog today and said that since he's gotten the S22, that Big House recommended a battery pack. Okay. And it was the New Dairy battery pack for the Galaxy S22. Yeah, Mike seems to love that S22. I noticed his video was very beautiful, clear, and sounded great today. Okay, battery case. Brian says, I like magnetic battery packs so the phone isn't a brick full time. Yeah. But glad you made it here, Big House. Appreciate it. Okay. The guys have come in. For the guys who didn't know, Mike notified me earlier that he wouldn't be able to make it tonight. So if we get anybody, it'll be Will or Ted, but I wouldn't count on it. My guess is we're going to have an early night. So we'll continue on. Then Big House says he's the opposite of Brian. He doesn't like the MagSafe. I like the MagSafe. Of course, I got mine originally from my iPhone, but I also use it on my S22 Plus. Sometimes I just drop it on there and let it charge. So I just find MagSafe very convenient. I guess everybody does, even though I've got chargers all over this room. So next one. Now, I explained before to you guys, I immediately got day one Android 13 on my Pixel 5a. But there's some issues with some of us getting it on the Pixel and Pixel 6 Pro. And I have yet to get it on the Pixel 6 Pro. I've checked every night. I haven't checked today yet because I didn't have time after I got home from work. But we're going to go into a story that might explain why. I'll share screen again. Okay, so I just said getting Android 12 instead of Android 13. Here's why. And this was on 9 to 5 Google. So this is 3 days ago. Some Pixel phones need another Android 12 update before Android 13. Google explains why. That's by Ben Schoon. I remember when he was a teenager. And that's 3 days ago. So let's go to read a view. Google dropped Android 13 yesterday. So this would have been Monday, because he wrote this on Tuesday. But it seems that some Pixel owners aren't seeing the update delivered properly. Instead, there's a growing number of reports of Pixel owners seeing an Android 12 update sent to their device. Yeah, now I haven't seen any Android 12 because I'm up to date. But every time I try it, I haven't seen any Android 12 yet. So I'm assuming I'll just get Android 13 when it gets to my Pixel 6 Pro. But I got it immediately on the 5A. In a statement to us this afternoon, Google explains that the seemingly, notice they said seemingly, erroneous Android 12 update is actually intended. And due to those phones running an older release, which is not the case with me. After users receive this update, they need to install it, with Google working on a clearer update description to avoid any confusion. I'm thinking they just got balled up and got held up all over the place with all of this confusion. Android 13 is rolling out afterwards over the coming weeks. And Gary says, if you want Android 13, just download the beta. I still don't have it on my 6 yet. Yeah, I'm just patient about it. And since I have it on my 5A, of course, I know already what it looks like. Matter of fact, I use my 5A all day at work today. So I'll just wait around. On August 15th, Pixel devices running an old version of Android 12 received a notification about a previously released Android 12 update with bugs fixes. So I guess that means they missed it somehow. That's what it sounds like to me. The messaging in the notification was confusing with the timing of Android 13 and is currently being changed for clarity. This update is separate from the Android 13 release that started to roll out to all supported Pixel devices yesterday and will continue over the next few weeks, depending on the carrier. Users will receive a notification once their OTA becomes available for their device. We encourage users to check the Android version and update to receive the latest software when it's available for their carrier. Yeah, and I am on T-Mobile. Both my phones are unlocked, so the 5A got it right away. Still waiting on a 6 Pro. Yeah, Gary says, yeah, I'm like you. I have it on my 4XL, so I'm good. Yeah, if you have it on one, it makes it much easier to wait. Android 13 is available to Pixel owners via regular means, such as sideloading or using the built-in OTA tool. With the latter, though, there are quite a few reports of Google Pixel owners seeing an update to Android 12. I'm just wondering how they missed being up to date on Android 12, because mine stayed up to date. It takes no more than a few minutes searching on Twitter to find several reports of the problem, and there's a couple of growing threads on the Reddit Google Pixel subreddit regarding the same problem. Pixel owners are going into the settings menu, check for an update, and then being told they can update to Android 12. Android 12, of course, being the version they're already on. That is confusing. The erroneous update shows the change log for Android 12 and even weighs in at over 2 gigabytes for some, but others have assumed that maybe it's just a cosmetic issue and it's actually the Android 13 update behind the scenes. Obviously not. Unfortunately, that does not appear to be the case. At least one user attempted the update and found themselves still on Android 12 by the end. For the most part, this problem appears to be affecting Pixel 6 and 6 Pro owners primarily. Yeah, that's why I got it on my 5A, no problem. But it's also affecting, and Gary got it on this 4XL. But it's also affecting some Pixel 5A devices. I'm not having that problem, at least. So it's certainly not an isolated issue. It seems possible that this could be related to Google's August update that was on top of Android 12. But with the issue affecting older Pixels, we're not confident the two are related. Yeah, it's just very confusing. This sort of thing isn't completely unprecedented, but it's odd nonetheless. I agree. Most likely, Google will have a fix within the next day or so. If you're dying to get Android 13 in the meantime, we have a complete guide. Yeah, you can always sideload it, so that's not a problem. So that's why some of us have gotten it on some phones, and mostly, I guess, Pixel 6 and 6 Pro users are having the problem. But I guess some got it already, too. I think, Joe Williams got it. So it's very confusing, in my opinion. Stop screen. We already kept up with the comments from Gary. And Brian, so we're good there. Still watching to see if any of the guys come in. Okay. And I just found this interesting. And since crypto is something, seems like all of the tech heads at least talk about, I just thought it was very interesting. Especially since Crypto.com is trying to hide what they're doing as far as layoffs go. So I'm going to share the screen. Crypto.com layoff keep increasing while the company tries to hide them. And this was on Decrypt.com. And it's not just Crypto.com, it's others too. Gemini, I think, is one. That's another big one. And they both laid off a bunch in July after they weren't supposed to anymore after June, but you'll see that. Second layoff round at Crypto.com, worse than June cuts, sources. Multiple sources at Crypto.com tell Decrypt that this month's layoffs, beyond those announced in June, have been kept quiet but are much bigger. So they're trying to hide the fact, even from their own employees, which you'll see, but they can't hide. It's by Ryan Ozawa, one or the other. In June, Singapore-based crypto exchange Crypto.com laid off 260 employees, or 5% of its workforce, citing the crypto bear market. Remaining employees were reportedly told at the time that these cuts were the end of the bloodletting. Yeah, good luck with that. They lied, a source inside Crypto.com now tells Decrypt. On a quarterly all-hands call last Friday, the company informed employees of additional layoffs. The source, a Crypto.com employee in a managerial role whose identity has been confirmed by Decrypt, spoke under condition of anonymity. Decrypt confirmed the layoffs with two other current employee sources. The latest round of cuts has not been announced publicly, and they're trying to hide it too late. During the call, leadership expressed that they have no intention of going public, the source says. Top management is unlikely to do an announcement, as after the June layoffs, they claimed that everyone's job was safe. Wrong, and that no more layoffs will happen. Due to the company's internal privacy practices, the employee could not provide the number of layoffs, so they're not even letting the employees know how many people they laid off over the past month, nor the percentage of remaining employees affected. But the source says the size of this round of cuts is much bigger than the first one, so it's more than 30 employees. I think it's a lot more than 30. According to the source, a number of factors are at play as cuts continue. The June layoffs targeted elastic staff like customer service and growth roles. I didn't know they were called elastic staff. Employees lessened demand as customer numbers and trading volume on the platform fell. This round, the source said, affected people from critical products like Exchange, app, and wallet. So I guess they're not elastic. The move looks a lot like what happened at rival crypto exchange Gemini. Yes, and I did see a story where Gemini did do the exact same thing, which also enacted a second set of layoffs in mid-July. So I guess they all laid off in June, said that was going to be it, and then they all laid off in July after making headlines for announcing cutbacks on June 2nd. A Crypto.com spokesperson did not confirm details nor the number of layoffs beyond those announced in June, but provided a brief statement. We announced reductions in June, and since that time, we have optimized our workforce to align with current external economic headwinds. I love the BS way they word things. We have a strong balance sheet, and we'll continue. You may have a strong balance sheet, but crypto's not doing so well. And we'll continue to invest in product engineering and brand partnerships moving forward. I always feel bad for the families of these people. In announcing its June cuts, Crypto.com had described its staff as need-based and said hiring would resume when conditions improved. We're in the middle of a almost recession, I guess. Just yesterday, Crypto.com announced it will be the first cryptocurrency exchange operating under Canada's new regulatory scheme, which I don't even know what that is, but I guess Mr. Trudeau does, and that's what counts. Even so, cost-cutting is becoming a top priority at Crypto.com, I gather, in every other place dealing with crypto. The business is cutting down to a bare minimum to survive the likely long bear market. Internal initiatives are about trying to save every penny, the source said. Prior to the cuts, now get these numbers, 45% of the entire Crypto.com employee base was hired between 2021 and 2022. So that, about half of their force was just hired less than a year ago, I guess. The massive hiring was intended for growth, and the majority of these, about 1,300, are not needed anymore in the current context. So what that says to me, at least 1,300 are gone. That's a lot more than 30 from last month. Decrypt reviewed a dozen layoff posts from former Crypto.com employees posted publicly to LinkedIn in just the last week. Many used the same framing, citing current market conditions and describing their, now check this, terminations as part of the June cut. They didn't say layoff. The people that left said they were terminations. That's something I noticed right away. Now, similar posts are emerging on employer rating site Glassdoor and appear to be more recent. The company is hiding the fact, not very well, that they've laid off more than 1,000 employees, even though they officially announced laying off 260, wrote a self-described current Crypto.com employee on June 10th. They've removed the company directory. Wow, they even removed the company directory. So we can't see the numbers go down. Boy, that's heavy duty. It's not good for morale to see that 1/3 of the invitation list on your next meeting is disabled accounts. That's true. That would really be disheartening. So just say a prayer for these people's families. Hey, Annette's in here. Glad you're here, Annette. It's going to be a shorter show because Mike and Will haven't come in, and it doesn't look like Ted's going to be, but glad you're here. So we're just going over all the layoffs with Crypto.com and others. So let me stop screen. Appreciate you coming by. And I know you're 3 hours behind me, so I can understand you're probably busy. Okay, down to my last story. So let me share it once more. And this has to do with the Pixel 7. And I said 4 Pixel 7 models. This was on Android Authority, and I did see it a couple of other places too. So the Google Pixel 7 could be getting 4 global models. Oh, for those who are curious, I will be getting the new iPhone 14 Pro Max. And I'm thinking now I'm probably going to get a Pixel 7, I think. But I didn't buy any of the new Samsung phones. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's my plan at the moment. FCC listings reveal new details on the Pixel 7. This is by Ryan McNeil. So let's go into review. And the reason I'm going for the Max 14 is because I skipped 13 altogether. Remember, I just went with the 12 Pro and I didn't even do 13. So, okay. And this is from yesterday. As we inch closer to the release date of the Google Pixel 7 later this year, it's only natural for more details to come out. This time we've learned about 4 models listed on the FCC certification website. Just so you know, before a company can manufacture, sell, or distribute any type of electronic device, it first needs to be approved by the FCC. So it's no surprise we'd see something related to the Pixel 7 by now. Yeah, I'd say so. However, what may be a surprise is the fact that 4 Pixel models appear in the regulators' listings. Yet that surprised me. First discovered by MySmartPrice, these models include GP4BC, GVU6C, GE2AE, and GQML3. While the listing doesn't reveal a ton of information, it reveals that the GE2AE and the GQML3 models support mmWave connectivity, which I'm a T-Mobile user, so I don't care. In contrast, the GP4BC and GVU6C models will only support sub-6 GH5G, gigahertz 5G. Most notably, the GP4BC and GE2AE will feature ultra-wideband for a short-range wireless connectivity option. Since UWB was originally available on the Pixel 6 Pro, this could suggest that the GP4BC and GE2AE models are on the Pixel 7 Pro. Also confirmed in the listing is that all 4 devices will support Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth, NFC, and wireless charging. According to the leaks, the Pixel 7 could go on pre-order on October 6th and then be available from October 13th. Okay, a week later, that's good. It's expected the 7 Pro will be the same size as the 6 Pro. However, the Pixel 7 will likely be shorter than the Pixel 6, coming in at 155.6 by 73.1 by 8.7 millimeter. These devices will definitely include the 2nd generation of the Tensor chip. I'm looking forward to seeing how different that is from the first. If you'd like to learn more about the Pixel 7, you can view our Everything We Know page. So I guess we're expecting 4 models, which surprised me. And it seems to be no word at all on the Pixel Fold yet. Who knows? They could surprise us. But, it seems like they're kind of doing what they did with the watch. We got to hear about it for 4 or 5 years, and then it'll come out, I guess. But I'd be very happy if they came out with a Pixel Fold in October. If they did, I would almost certainly be getting that above all. So we'll see what happens. All right, so I'm going to go over to glowing rectangles. I think with all the business with Mike and Will last week, I don't think I even showed the glowing rectangles. I'm not sure. Anyway, for anybody who's new here And if you have a blog or you make videos, you can go to reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles, and you can get more exposure. Let me get my stuff out of the way here. Okay. So it's reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles. Now, this was started by Juan Bagnell months ago, maybe a year ago, some gadget guy, and just for people to get more exposure. So you can put stuff here every day, and people will vote either your video or story up. I have never seen anybody vote down, but what do I know? So we got the most votes today. Is Hollis Turby. He put the Pixel Buds versus Pixel Buds Pro. Is it worth the upgrade? Yeah, and I have both of those right here, but I put my Pixel Buds. No, not Pixel Buds. I'm sorry, that's my Samsung Buds. Here's my Pixel Buds Pro. I am waiting for my Samsung. I'm getting confused with all these buds I'm dealing with here lately. Anyway, so he had the top voter story. He got 4 upvotes. I'll give him an upvote also. Is it worth the upgrade? I never had Pixel Buds before this one, and I love these. Although right now I'm wearing my Samsung 2s. Second thing you see on the page is always an ad. So what got the next most votes was today was the ColorOS top new features, blah, blah, and that's by TK Bay. This ColorOS 13 and Android 13. And third vote was Mike's video for today. Cool. Let me upvote him. He did a good vlog today. And look how clear the S22, I guess, is the best pictures and video he's had, I guess. But I told him right after I saw it, it was beautiful and sounded great. So he's going down the Jersey Turnpike on his way to work. He's complaining a lot, too, about the traffic. And I'm glad to see that there. Here's Friday Night Open Mic. I guess that's from last week. Okay. And there is TKN1. This is from their show, their Thursday night show, I believe. Yeah. So that got 2 votes. Give that a vote. And look who's there. That's me from this is me's Tonight Show. Okay, I guess I'll vote for me, so there. That was tonight's show. So anybody who wants to get a little exposure for themselves, and you can put somebody else's video and blog up there too. They'll still get some exposure. So just wanted you to know, go to Glowing Rectangles, and you can always get more exposure and see what people think about it, and people can comment on it. So just wanted you guys to see that. So let me stop screen. So nobody came in today. I knew we'd have an early evening, of course, when I'm by myself. But I think we went over some interesting stories. And let me get back to the comments here. Let's see. Yeah, no Pixel Folds. Yeah, Brian's saying they need to get their regular phones more stable. They've had some stability issues, especially with the fingerprint on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. Big House says he doesn't. And Google is talking in my ear. Sorry. Big House says, I don't think Google will ever make a fold device. Now, I think they're all going to have to make a fold device. Apple, Google, everybody. That's just my opinion. And I love my Z Flip 3. I didn't order the Z Flip 4 because I didn't see any reason to. This thing has been totally awesome to me. It's been solid, stable, rugged. I still do this all the time. Never have any issue with it. So, I never turned it on. So I took it to work yesterday. I took my Pixel 5a today along with my iPhone. So I think they'll all end up making foldable phones. And Brian says if Apple makes them, they're going to try to make one. Yeah, I think there's so many companies making one at this point. everybody's going to have to come up with one. That's just my opinion. So, thanks for coming by, folks. And you guys are very faithful, and I appreciate it very much. And Renz, I hope your checkup goes very, very well. I'm saying a prayer for that. And I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend. Thanks for coming by. If you're new, remember to subscribe and give it a like. So everybody have a blessed weekend, and I will see you next week, hopefully with one or two of the other guys. So have a great night, folks.